This platform is all about telling the truth, whether it's uncomfortable or not, and expressing yourself, people expressing what they really think. I spoke to Sai, who was born in war-torn Afghanistan. He came here at a young age, made his life here, and he is the face behind the brand Made in London. Here's what Sai had to say.
Yes, my guy.
How you doing, man?
Not too bad, bro. How are you?
I'm all right, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to speak to me today.
My pleasure, bro.
Share your...
Thanks for having me in this hot seat.
Yeah. So yeah, I've asked you to come to just give insight into like who you are.
Yeah.
What made you who you are.
Yeah.
The brand that you've created.
Yeah.
And you know what you want your brand to stand for, what you want the world to know about you and your brand.
Right.
Made in London.
Yeah.
So firstly, talk to me about your upbringing.
Well, my upbringing, I wasn't born here. I came to London from the age of 9, 10. So most of my upbringing was back in my motherland, which is Afghanistan. That's where I come from. And do you want me to go into details for then, or?
Up to you, bro. Like, just things that you feel kind of have affected like who you are today.
Right, fair enough. Well, coming from basically a war zone, you get affected no matter what. So for me, I was born into that. That when I came into the world, it was already bombs and bullets. So it was straight first hand. Like I thought that was a norm. You know, being born in an environment like that, you don't know the difference. So starting from there, it was just surviving, mum. Survival. Starting to realise, as I'm growing up, starting to realise that obviously, man's not living normal, innit? It's war going on and whatnot. When the logic start to kick in, but thankfully, I didn't have to fully experience that how other children experience it back home, and I was pretty fortunate to basically fly out and leave all that behind. I mean, most of it is a blur, but sometimes when I look at the TV or I hear about the war and little things that triggers PTSD, takes me back, but I've managed to overcome all of that, and you know, just being thankful to be here now, bro.
I used to think that the war between Afghanistan and the US or whatever started in 9/11. I thought that was it kicking off, but
No.
only like a little while ago is when I realised it's something that's been going on for a long time before that. Which obviously,
It was way before the Americans, way before the British or whatnot. It was the Russians we was in war with, and I was born just at the end of the Russian war, just when they were leaving the troops. That's when I was born, and then literally couple of years later, about 6 years later after, then the Americans invaded. But that's fresh in my memory. The Russian war and them leaving and all that, that was when I was a baby, so I don't have no memory of it. But the American invasion, the Taliban and all of that, that's still kind of fresh in my memory, because that's when I was basically getting my logistics as a young youth, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do remember most of the American invasion and the war then.
I remember back in the day, you showed me a picture of you lying on the floor, like lining up to shoot a AK-47.
Yeah, yeah.
In that picture, you couldn't have been no more than about 7 years old, 6 years old.
Yeah. I mean, growing up in the war zone, you got guns everywhere, bro. You got my dad used to sleep with it under his pillow. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously it's about your safety. You got to always be prepared because the way they will come to your house, it's not a letter of a notice to be like, yo, we like to knock on your door. It's, bro, like, you could be sleeping 3, 4 in the morning, boom, people are jumping over the walls. You get
It's not funny, but the way you told it was.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So you got to be prepared, man. It's not only the Taliban or any of these people that you you have to worry about, bro.
We'd like to knock on your door. Oh my God.
Do you understand? You had to worry about burglars. You had to worry about like the wrongins that will use the war to their advantage and come and invade your whole house and that. Making you think that they're actually fighting for a good cause, but really and truly they're just thieving from you. You get me? So you gotta always be prepared with that. And that's when I kind of grew up around guns, and we always had them. So that picture that you saw was probably one of them times. But yeah, man.
How many siblings did you grow up with, and did you have like both parents at home?
Yeah, thankfully, by the grace of God, I'm always thankful to have both parents still alive till this day. Alhamdulillah. My siblings, I've got 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and myself, so it's 5 children. I grew up with 4 siblings. So that was another little war within the siblings that man had to handle, do you know what I mean? But yeah, 4 siblings, man.
How old were you when you came to the UK, to London?
About 10, I'll say 10, yeah. Just touched 10.
What was that like touching down here for the first time? Like, what can you remember?
Bro, I remember just, like, the best way to describe it is, imagine flipping over a book to the other side, like completely upside down, bro. Do you know what I mean? Coming from like a barbaric place where there's just madness going on, to somewhere which is just like as small as a tarmac road, bro. I'm looking at the roads, I'm looking mad clean and flat and smooth. You could just drive back home, bro. You understand? Like, do you know things like that, bro? You appreciate. So when I came, obviously, it was just like me coming to Dubai, for example. Like, wow, bro. Bear in mind, I'm 10 years old as well, so like, I'm just, it's fun, but is it a dream? When is this gonna end? Am I going back? So yeah, man, there was a lot of like anxiety, if that makes sense, from young, bro. Like, not knowing, you get me? Yeah, not knowing like what is round the corner. Do you get me? Not death and that anymore. I didn't have to worry about all that, because obviously man's in a more civilized country. But it's just the not knowing of coming all the way here. There's a possibility that you might just bam get sent back. So having that anxious thought in your head, plus at the same time trying to integrate into the society, trying to learn the environment and all of that. That was all a challenge.
So once you got here, and with those challenges in mind, and for you and your family and everything, like, how did you, obviously at some point you started to like make friends and develop with your friends and whatnot, like, how did that go?
Well, bro, firstly, when we came here, it was, my parents were very strict in the sense that they wanted to kind of protect us, because we came from a place where they always had to protect us. Coming here, it wasn't over in their head, so they was always protective, and we weren't really allowed out as much until I started school. And then obviously that's when I started to make friends at school, but I wouldn't say they were solid people, because the school that I went to, they kind of put us all in a foreign national kind of class, like, you know, all the refugee kids and the asylum seekers, they put us all in one class. So even in that class, no one can actually speak a word of English. And I myself, I couldn't speak English as well, bro. Not one word, probably just a couple of words, like I love you and all that, just learning them from the movies back home, you get me? But in terms of making friends, as I said, it wasn't like solid friends because they didn't stay. They would either get dropped out or they wouldn't come. So I didn't really make proper solid friends until my late years in my life. And but yeah, just going to school itself, that was a whole different challenge for me because the education system, like everything is different. Do you know what I mean? Compared to where I come from. So that was more of my focus, to adapt as fast as I could.
Yeah, fast forwarding slightly
Yeah.
to college days.
Yeah.
You, if I recall, you mentioned you kind of linked up or became friends with someone with a little bit of notoriety today. A certain athlete.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua, AJ. Yeah. Yeah. We were good friends.
Meet? How did you meet? Like, how did that?
Well, at the time when I finished school, I used to live in North London, Wood Green, Turnpike Lane. That's where I actually went to school. Then finishing school, we moved to Northwest London, and that's when I started college. I joined Barnet College in Graham Park, and I think I was in my third year of a different course because I got kicked out a few times as well. I was being, but yeah, on my third year, I was doing travel and tourism, and I just see one tall guy in the corridor with a big afro. He's standing in the corridor and he's not chatting to no one. He's just there looking at everyone. That's obviously, I'm looking at this guy. He's looking at me. We're going past each other, whatnot. Then on the fifth day, same pattern. I see this guy on the corridor just there. Then obviously I started talking to him. I was like, yo, bro, what are you saying? Started talking. And the only thing, obviously, back then you had in common is, do you want to have a little zoo, whatnot? You go. And it all just started from there, bro. And then at the time, our circumstances was kind of the same at the time because he had some things going on in his life with the law and that. And so did I at the time. So we had to report to a certain establishment at a certain time every day. So for like about 15 months or so, our routine was proper the same. Like we would link up in college, get our studies out the way, and then we run to the building where we had to do our thing and then leave. And then we all both had to kind of separate at a certain time and then link up the same day, the next day, do the same thing for months until obviously life just took us to separate paths, bro. And yeah, so that was our friendship with AJ. And obviously when I got put away, I'm not gonna get into details of too much, but when I got put away, that's when we lost contact. He did write me a few times, but obviously getting shipped out, getting moved to different establishments, we kind of lost contact. And then coming back years later, bro, I think I was in your crib in Edgware. I'm lying down in the bed. I'm just there. I'm just reflecting, bro. And then the Olympics was on. Bear in mind, I haven't heard from this guy since we just lost contact. Then the Olympics come on, bro. I'm flicking your TV.
That must have been 2012 then.
2012, yeah. And then yeah, bro. They're announcing all the athletes, and then I'm hearing Anthony Joshua, and then I just see this tall brother walking into the Olympics, bro. Like the last time I see him was in Finchley. We said bye to each other. I got put away. He got. Now I'm looking at this brother on TV, bro. I can't lie. I had a little panic attack. Like, I was like, bro, like I couldn't. Like I had to take it all in. Then I thought, well done. Like that in itself for me was an inspiration, bro. Like you can do it. You know, nothing's gonna stop you, bro. Look at this guy. You know what I mean? So I kind of there and then I kind of rated his thing, and I said to myself, if he can achieve his thing, surely I can achieve mine. You get me? So that's when the whole journey of, you know, making something out of nothing started for myself as well in 2012. You get me?
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
How you started to kind of build the brand and sow
Yeah.
the seeds for that. Let's go back to like before college, back in school.
Yeah.
You're starting to make friends, but not solid friends.
Yeah.
How did, when you at that stage, like, how would you say your mental health was as a child? Because one of the things I'm interested in is and I work on is children's mental health.
Yeah.
You know, as well as mental health in general.
Yeah.
So as a young person, as a child, can you remember how that experience and everything prior to that kind of affected your mental
Yeah.
health and your mindset?
Well, as far as I can remember, bro, at the time it was just confusion for me, because like I mentioned, I didn't know whether this is gonna last or so. My mental was, I was constantly trying to process everything that was coming my way, if that makes sense. But at the same time, keeping positive, you know, as I said, I'm fortunate enough to have very strong parents, and they were basically one of the pillars, and they still are in my life. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, but I'd say it was more of a confusion state of mind at the time. I didn't know where I would end up, and not knowing the education system as well. So it was, for me, it was always catching up. Do you know what I mean? And making sure that you don't get left behind. And like, as I said, because I was in a foreign national class, didn't have no one to really speak to, or didn't really kind of build any kind of solid friendships to have, you know, like do the normal things like go park and play football. So it was like, I don't know, man, survival, innit? You know what I mean? I'm here, and now I'll do whatever in my power to survive and come out the other end prosperous. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was always my aim.
Did you miss home at all? Afghanistan.
Yeah, I did. From what I remember, there was happy times at this as well. You know, it wasn't always war and madness. You know what I mean? We did have our little community. We had our family. We had things that was going on. You know, and to leave all of that behind one time, and just like I said, flipping the book upside down. So yeah, sometimes I do miss the fresh air, the fresh fruits, the organic milk coming out straight from the cows when your nan is milking it. You know what I mean? Like things like that, you appreciate after it gets taken away. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do miss sometimes the tropical weather and, you know, the sunshine. But apart from that, there's nothing else to miss, bro. Yeah.
If we, without you going into too much detail, because we're not here to glamorize certain things, but for young people who might watch this to kind of have the opportunity to learn something without necessarily having to go through it themselves, do you mind like sharing a little bit, without going into too much detail, about how you kind of went from becoming friends with certain people, getting into certain things, and ending up in a certain establishment?
Yeah.
Just so we can see how that journey can kind of come about. Like what do you think led you into falling into that establishment?
You know what? A lot of people, I mean, I don't know about a lot of people. I wouldn't put the blame on anyone or anything on anyone. It was mainly my own choices. But I think that all came about from basically achieving something before your siblings. See, in my household, it was kind of, I don't think it was a competition where we all wanted to prove that we can do it well for our parents. And yeah, like we've come here now, look, I'm going to make sure that us coming here, I'm going to make sure that I give you like the best life. Do you get it? And
as in you guys wanted to make sure you gave your parents the best
life
Okay.
and the best, whatever struggles they had, we wanted to make sure we abolish it. Don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me to come out, obviously, parents have difficulties. Everyone's parents must have faced difficulties, whether it's financial, emotional, or whatever. But one thing about my parents is they were very good at hiding the problems that they were having from us, because obviously they knew that it might affect us, but they couldn't hide so much the financial situation, considering where we came from with nothing. We're still building up, so I could sometimes sense that we was having financial difficulty within my household. Although mum wouldn't eat up the plate of food, because she would know if she eats it, there's 5 others that won't eat. You get it? So the struggles that they went through, for me, was just making sure that now you're good. I'm gonna make sure I go out there and grab it, however I can, to come back and give it to you. So all of that started from then, for me to be like, you know what? I can't have my parents arguing over when I can go out there and grab it. Do you get it? And plus, coming from such a hot-headed country with all madnesses, certain madnesses that I'll come across here is laughable to me, because I'm like, if only you knew what, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then, I just went kamikaze, bro. Head first. Got myself whatever I needed, the tools, boom, boom, bam, out there, and just trying to grab whatever to go home and make sure that, you understand what I'm saying? Obviously, don't worry how it came, but it's here, innit? Bam, we're living good. So I think that's where it all came from, bro. Always wanted to basically repay my parents for all their struggles that they went through back home, like not eating, making sure we're not hungry and all of that. For me, it was kind of repaying them kind of thing. But one thing I didn't consider is I chose the quick route and I chose the shorter route. And sometimes when you choose the short route on life, you can trip up. And that's exactly what happened to me, bro. Do you know what I mean? I chose the short route. I thought I would make it quick. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
But in a situation like that where it's needed now, what else are you supposed to do? And I'm not saying the things you did are right. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just asking a challenging question to.
I mean, to be fair, bro, let's put it this way, yeah. Education and knowledge plays a big part into anyone's state of mind. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't as educated and I didn't have enough knowledge as I have now. That's including how I used to even speak English. Do you know what I mean? So, but then, for me, because I came from such an erratic background, for me it was erratic actions. If I can't take it, if I can't have it, I'll take it. It's erratic. Do you know what I mean? So I've had to kind of master to control that kind of anger and trigger in my brain, and then basically calculate the pros and the cons. If I take this action, where would it lead me? Or if do you know what I mean? It's kind of doing. I don't know if you remember, we used to do, what's it, ETS?
Enhanced thinking skills.
Yeah. You see that there, bro? That did kind of, we might smirk about it now, but that actually helped me a lot, basically. In the terms where you do the spider diagram, you put the issue in the middle and you draw out lines and you put all the goodness and the badness you take away, and then boom, you make a decision. Do you know what I mean? So I've had to kind of master that ability to now not make the kind of mistakes again.
Let me challenge you further then.
Go on.
Say back then, you can see mum, dad, the family struggling, arguing about who's gonna eat the plate of food. Things are difficult as you describe, yeah? So clearly it's needed now, like the funds or the food or whatever, we need more now.
Yeah.
You have enhanced let's just say you have enhanced thinking skills then, and you do understand how to weigh up the pros and cons then. Would you still take the same actions, or would you, what would you do?
100% not. 100% not. I would have probably, like I said, I would have probably went down the road of the slow road, but I know that it wouldn't have left me with the consequences that I'm carrying today. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So definitely not, bro.
But the slow road, again, not saying it's wrong to take the slow road, but again, a challenge. The slow road means that the arguments and the starvation and the dire times continues.
Yeah.
Whilst you're taking the slow road. So you're saying you would choose that over what you did do?
Yeah, bro, one thing life's taught me is patience. Do you know what I mean? No matter what goes around you, if you got a bit of patience in you and you put it into practice, the end goal, you will tell yourself, wow, it did pay off. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, being young at that time, there was no one bit of patience in my heart. And, coming out, seeing other kids with fresh trainers and all of that, that in itself played a part. Plus, I didn't know about fashion, Nikes, this, that. I remember I came, bro, between you and me, I came first time, my first trainers was from Shoe Zone, bro. And I don't even know what name they were, but I thought I was the guy. I went to my school, I was standing there in the PE. But one thing I realised, couple man in the corner, they were looking at man's crepes and they were kind of smirking and everything. But to me, I thought they were liking it, you get it? But then coming 6-7 months down the line, I realised the Air Maxes are you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then obviously that's when all them things started to pile up on man. The challenges of how to be a cool kid in school, what to wear, having certain brands and all that. See, me, I was unaware of that. Back home, bro, you wear a turban, bam, one shawar, whatever, go out there with sandals.
Yeah.
Over here, then I started to realize, raw brands, this, that, you know what I'm saying? So more challenges came. So now, not only at home, no food, now you have to look good, bro, because if you know what I'm saying? So yeah, all of that, I had to kind of.
So let's fast forward again to seeing as we just ended on talking about fashion, that little segment there. So let's talk about how you ended up transitioning, getting into fashion. Is it you knew as a kid, I think most kids, that you want the latest this and that. You want to be keeping up. You want to be drippy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How did you end up creating
Made in London?
Yeah.
Well, bro.
Can I just stop?
So. My beard. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, how did Made in London start? Basically, so my family's always been into fashion, basically alterations and stuff. They always had their trade was clothing.
Like, how far back was that their trade? Like from Afghanistan days?
Yeah,
Okay,
from back home.
They always did that.
Yeah, they've always done that.
Okay.
And obviously, we're known for like the Persian carpet, handmade carpets and all that. So even going back, we always had a sew in hand, if that makes sense. My family, my uncles, my dad's brothers, they were always into like sewing and altering clothing and all that. So they came here before us, before my family. My uncles were here before, and they used to work for different brands doing their alterations and stuff. So it came about to a time where the whole family just got together and thought, instead of us doing other brands alterations, we can make this into a business and make it our own and do people's alterations, but we keep all the profit, if that makes sense. So when I came out of the establishment, the business was established a year, and then I came out. So then I started to work with with my uncles in the business to basically show the people that I'm being good and whatnot. And then my plan was to only work with them maybe for 6-7 months or so, but I ended up working with them for a whole 8 years. And within this 8 years, I used to watch my uncles do their sewing, tailoring and all that. And I've always had it in my head, there was always something in the back of my head that I will do something that has to do with clothing. One day, maybe I'll become a tailor myself. And then just back and forth, not sure what I was doing with my career or what was my next step until COVID came. When COVID came, obviously everyone went out of business, whatever. Fortunately, we were still in business, but we couldn't open the business up. But I was sitting there and I was scrolling through my socials and I started to come across some brands that kind of started to add up, started to trigger. Like I started to look at Trapstar. I'm not on their level yet, but reading about them and how they started, it all just clicked in my head. I thought, hold on a minute. I've got my whole family that is into clothing. I've got enough knowledge and education now to use computers and all of that. So bro, it kicked in. And then my whole backstory of where I came from, the war, leaving all of that behind, it all just added up, bro. It's like puzzle pieces just started coming together. And then the name, even MIL, it just came naturally because I feel like I am made in London. Do you get it? And that's what it stands for, made in London, MIL. And yeah, man, that's how it came about. Just having my family in the clothing industry, and then having to see that there are actually platforms that where you can start your brand from scratch. You can be anyone. You can use Shopify and all these to set it up, So having all of this in the palm of my hand, I realized that I can do it too. And that's when I came up with Made in London.
What challenges have you experienced so far in trying to put this brand together?
I've had to basically sacrifice a lot of things, The number one sacrifice I had to do was not give my time to irrelevant situations like hanging out with people that don't benefit you in your career or lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? So starting from that to basically, you become a loner, if that makes sense. You become lonely because you're just focused. There was a lot of challenges, bro. Financial challenges as well, because you put in money into the brand, and you might not get the same return. The marketing side of things, and just staying relevant. There was a lot of, and still is a lot of challenges that we're facing.
What about logistically,
What
like
do you mean?
material?
Oh yeah, that as well.
Marketing.
That as well. It's hard to basically find cheap suppliers and people, people that will make your stuff from scratch, and everything is mostly done overseas, if you know what I mean. And at the moment, obviously, my traveling situation is limited. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but yeah, that's a challenge in itself. Just not being able to be at the factories firsthand, seeing the material and deciding on colours and all that firsthand. That in itself is a challenge that I'm facing right now.
How do you select materials and colours and stuff then?
Right now, I get sent catalogues by factories, and I get to feel it firsthand. But that in itself again is challenging because all these factories, all these people, they won't just ship it to you over for free. You know what I mean? They always charge you sample costs. They charge you for whatever service they will give you. There's always charges for something, bro. So yeah, at the moment, that's how I choose the materials and that.
For someone, a young budding entrepreneur who wants to create a brand themselves, like, can you give us like a brief step by step as to, you know, how you went from conception to actual, you know?
Bro, I would say take action. You know, write it down. Whatever comes into your head, just write it down and take action and go for it. And I think that's the best advice I can give.
Let's call that step one. So if you get an idea, write it down.
Yeah.
So what you mean is by writing it down, that is taking action.
Basically, that's the first step.
Okay.
To taking action. Basically,
okay.
Yeah. And then just work on it, bro. Build whatever comes. Just keep writing down, and I would say have a niche as well. Don't just come up with a name that you think sounds amazing and people would want to wear it. You have to have a niche. You know, what audience, what kind of people you want to sell your clothing or whatever you're trying to create. Who is it for? I mean, there is a lot of steps to take, but as I said, the first step for anyone to start up whatever they want is to write it down and take action and go for it.
Write it down, take action, and go for it.
Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Okay. Is there anything that you, well, yeah, of course there is something like that you hope for the future? Like, what are your hopes, goals, dreams, like for the future of this brand?
Right. Well, obviously, it would be nice to be established and be side by side with all the other established brands. So that's my aim, my end goal, bro. I do want to create this as a kind of generational wealth kind of thing. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for whoever when I leave the world, whoever that's on my bloodline can benefit from it just as much as I've had. I want to leave this legacy behind so that my ancestors or whatever in the future can feed themselves from it, if that makes sense. So that's my end goal, to create a generational wealth and a name and a brand like all these other successful brands they've done it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my aim.
I hear you. And finally then, where can people find your stuff?
So at the moment, I've got a small pop-up shop in Chelsea, Kings Road, 406 Kings Road. I've actually integrated the brand with the tailoring. So when you do come and purchase my items, I give you a different service than any other brand, meaning that I can actually alter your clothing to fit you as an individual. And I think that's one of the unique services that Made in London provides.
So not only can they purchase from you, they can actually get it tailor-made, inclusive in the price.
You get the VIP treatment. You get measured. You come in, you get measured. You pick your item of clothing, and that's it, man. We fit you. When you're happy, you can walk out happy, bro.
Are you looking to get online soon as well?
I do have, yeah. I am using a platform, Shopify. I've kind of not partnered up, but I'm using their platform to basically showcase all my stuff. But I am gonna. The plan is to have an official website and sell online, as well as basically partnering up with I would say
other established like online platforms.
Yeah, like other, and do it online as well.
For the longest time since I've been checking out your brand, you've been saying tracksuits coming soon.
Yeah.
Are they finally here?
Do you know what? I don't like to rush things.
Yeah.
Because this is something that's out into the public's eye, and people can use or whatever. So the things that I'm creating, I want it to be a masterpiece in a sense where like there's no errors. I mean, there might be some kind of, you can't please everyone, but I'm basically trying to create something that's not in the market. I can happily go and buy a blank tracksuit, grey blank tracksuit, 50 of those, put my logo on it and sell it. But what is what's so unique about my thing? Do you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to create, the tracksuits that are coming soon, is gonna be something that's very. If you was to purchase it as an individual, you would feel like you've purchased something, not just a trackie off the shelves with that name. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be good things coming, man.
Okay. Definitely, finally. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Does race or racism affect you at all?
Oh hell yeah.
Really?
Of course.
But you're not black. Is it? I thought it was only black people that.
Foreign.
No. Okay.
That's a foreign.
I'm joking. I'm being.
Yeah,
go on.
No, it has affected me, bro. I've been called Packy. I've been called all these names, bro, in the past. Yeah. But do you know what? You see, back home, bro, I never ever thought racism existed. Back home, we don't get told about things like that. What we get told is everyone's your brothers and everyone's your sister. What I've been taught is, regardless of the color of your skin, we both have 2 hands, we both have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 ears. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I look at people. I don't look at people based on their skin color. We're the same. Everyone's got 10 fingers. You know what I'm saying? So all of this racism stuff, I started to realize that and know that it existed when I first came here. And then even then, bro, I laugh about it. Anyone that's racist, bro, it comes down to their knowledge and education. A wise person can never be racist. This is what I say. But all these people that go on about these racism and all of that, bro, again, it's education, bro. Education plays a big part into a person's life. If you're not educated enough and you don't know the right history and the right, then you can talk as long as you want. I laugh at you. That's it.
Cool, man. Sai, born in Afghanistan.
But made in London.
But made in London.
Yes, bro.
Go and check it out. Go and check out the brand. Thank you, man.
No problem, my guy. Pleasure. Thank you.
Cool.